We are officially adopting that philosophy on Romantasy Remedy. We welcome all pronunciations, even if Whitney has 5 different ones in the same recap. It's fine. It's fine.
The people who claim to be shaping her into something stronger are asking her to let go of everything that makes her human. And the ones she was taught to see as monsters are the ones reminding her what it means to feel, to love, to lose. So it really makes you ask, like, what actually makes something a monster? Is it what you are, or is it how you're treating people, right?
Sylina is wearing a veil because that's how Tarkan likes his concubines. Barf. I hate Tarkan.
Yeah, no,
Hi, and welcome to Romantasy Remedy. I'm Whitney.
And I'm Kenzie. We're sisters-in-law and book besties who thrive on daily doses of magic and romance from our favorite fantasy stories.
So, if your emotional support animal is a dragon and your therapist has shadow powers, you're in the right place. Thanks for being here and for liking, rating, and following our show.
Before we get started, this is our official content warning. Simply put, Romantasy Remedy is a podcast for grown-ups. The topics and language will reflect that. Please listen at your comfort level.
And one more thing before we dive into Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. Our spoiler warning. For most of the episode, there will only be spoilers for chapters 18 through 29. But at the end of today's episode, we will have our Spoiler Central segment where we make connections to events later in the book and the entire Crowns of Nyaxia series. Don't worry, we'll give another big warning or several warnings before Spoiler Central begins.
Perfect. Thanks, Whit. One of our goals at Romantasy Remedy is to highlight how books in this genre inspire readers. When we see characters facing fears, overcoming challenges, and growing into their potential, it helps us to do the same. So each week we'll choose a quote from the chapters we read to be an affirmation, a phrase to empower and motivate us. This week's affirmation says, "Fight for the impossible." We base this affirmation on words spoken by Atrius. His direct quote reads, "My people have learned to fight for the impossible." He said, "We wouldn't survive otherwise." This quote and this book in general made me fall in love with the bloodborne vampires. If we weren't excited for Septimus before, this reread has got us so excited. But especially Atrius's group. How can you not root for them, right? They've been through so much and they keep fighting and keep hoping. And I love this idea. They're so inspirational. And sometimes we're told to be realistic, and perhaps there are times where that's helpful. But many times I think hoping for the impossible yields results that are equally powerful, if not more so. And sure, maybe you don't achieve the impossible, but you'll certainly achieve something by hoping for it and reaching for it. What do you think of this affirmation, Whit?
I love that idea. In fact, I'm sitting here in my husband's home office because he works from home, and he has this quote in here. I don't know a lot about football, guys, but this is from Vince Lombardi, and it actually says almost the same thing. Do you want to hear what it says?
Oh, yeah,
It says, "We will chase perfection, and we will chase it relentlessly, knowing all the while we can never attain it. But along the way, we shall catch excellence." I was like, that's pretty much what we're saying in our affirmation. Like, if you are hoping for things that are quote unquote impossible, sure, maybe you're not going to reach that impossible goal,
right?
But you're going to have good things happen, right? And sometimes if you're just hyper realistic, like, oh, well, there's no way I could do this, that doesn't really give you the same energy and motivation to go after it, right? Whereas if you have this dream you're chasing or this goal you're chasing, I don't know, I just feel like there's a different excitement and energy to go for
sure. I feel like if you don't, it almost stunts your growth, right? Because you feel like can't, where you should be saying I can. Like, you tell your kids shoot for the stars, right? Like, you can be anything you want to be. And if you tell them anything other than that, then they're going to believe it. But if you tell them they can, they're going to believe that too. And then you can see where they go or where you go. So great affirmation. Thank you, Atrius.
So good. Well, and he also says we wouldn't survive otherwise. And I thought that was really interesting. For them, it's not just, we want to live out our dreams, but it's like literally this is how we survive. Like, we just keep hoping for something that seems impossible. So I thought that was cool. I liked that.
Hope is a strong motivator for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yep. Well, don't forget you can find a printable version of the affirmation in the show notes in case you want to stick it in your mirror, your fridge, your car, wherever. And keep listening to hear about more moments from these chapters that either inspired, healed, humored, or wooed us. But before we get to that, Whitney is going to recap what happened in this week's section of chapter.
All right. Atrius claims Alka and immediately goes, cool, now you, Sylina, come fix me. And he summons her to his bedchambers. Turns out he's got a literal curse rotting inside him. Casual, no big deal. Sylina can't cure it, but she can untangle it enough to knock him out, which becomes a nightly routine, which becomes cuddling, which becomes intentional cuddling. We have a slow burn, I'm only here for your curse situation. Next stop on Atrius's Conquer and Vibe tour, Versailles, Sylina's hometown. No emotional baggage there at all. She
No.
convinces him to let her sneak into the palace to assassinate Tarkin, disguised as a concubine. Obviously. Atrius tags along like it's date night, and yes, there is flirting mid-mission. But, plot twist, axe to the face almost happens, and surprise, it's Sylina's long-lost brother, Nero. Alive, addicted, and immediately spiraling as he calls out for his sister, Vivi. Vivi or Vivi? How do you say it?
Vivi.
Vivi. Okay. Sylina freezes. Atrius handles the murder, efficient king behavior, and
Right.
Nero is spared, only to start crashing hard from Pythareseed withdrawal. Sylina stays with him while Atrius quietly sends food like a broody Uber Eats king. She tries to find drugs to save her brother and fails. Atrius shows up with just enough to keep Nero alive because control issues, but it's helpful. Then Atrius casually says, don't worry, I called vampire healers. Meanwhile, Sight Mother drops in, all like, kill him, refuses to help Nero, shuts down Selena's very reasonable, maybe don't kill the hot vampire plan, and hands her a god-touched dagger. No pressure.
Right.
Sylina and Nero have a sibling therapy session, aka arguing about who's more loyal to toxic leadership, but in the end, they have a fragile truce. Atrius and his army head out to meet his cousin near the coast before taking kerosene. When his cousin doesn't show, Sylina sears for answers. Her horror show of a thread walk indicates that there is a problem on Veritas. The vampires immediately prepare to go check on their families. So in conclusion, curse removal is basically foreplay. Families are messy. And the Sight Mother is a bitch.
You can say
Guys,
that again.
I'm not going to lie. Kenzie and I have had this conversation. I feel like I have bigger problems in my life to worry about than whether or not I use swear words. And that being said, bitch is not one I use often. Like, generally, I don't call a lot of people that. But the Sight Mother is one. She is bitchy.
The nicest thing you could call her, honestly. She's
strong
terrible.
feelings about that lady.
Right?
So,
Man,
anyway,
big time.
sorry, Kenzie. That was a little bit of a struggle for me to get through that recap, but we did it. We made it through.
Honestly, no, you did great.
It was like going through the tunnels of Alka. It was just a little rough.
Strangled you a little bit.
A little bit. Drowned a little bit with all the words, but it's okay.
That's so funny.
It's okay. Thanks for sticking with me.
Well, and as any good romantasy book, there are names and places that make no sense. So, enunciation and pronunciation are always questionable.
We've totally, I think it was in the Call Her Daddy interview with Sarah J. Maas, right? Where she actually said that she doesn't really care how people pronounce things. Like,
I think
whatever.
She said, I welcome all pronunciations. I was like,
perfect.
Well,
we are officially adopting that philosophy on Romantasy Remedy. We welcome all pronunciations, even if Whitney has 5 different ones in the same recap. It's fine. It's fine.
We all know what you're talking about. It's fine.
Yeah, you guys know what I mean. It's okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
well, Kenzie, I want to know what your Romantasy Remedy was from
yes.
these chapters. Please
Well,
tell
let's
us.
talk about it because this stretch of chapters is very entertaining, but it actually contains a lot of difficult material too. And I want to, though, focus and dive a little deeper into Selena's relationship with her brother, Nero, because, and we're going to say Nero. He's
Narrow,
Nero.
narrow, whatever.
Whatever, Nero.
It's fine.
So she talks Atrius into letting her go with him to kill Tarkan instead of having all the bloodshed that she foresaw when she did her thread walking. And this quote, it says, "But my attacker's eyes went wide. His axe clattered to the ground. Vivi, he breathed. Narrow. All at once, the familiarity hit me. The sound of his voice brought it back." That moment just stops everything, right? It's her brother. So we're getting a glimpse into her previous life that we didn't know before. We knew she joined the Arachessen late in life, but we know nothing until now about
Late-ish. She was like 10.
late-ish. I know, late compared to the other sisters, right?
Yes, yes.
But I love it because all it takes is one word, her name, right? So not Sylina, Vivi. And suddenly she's not just what she's been trained for by the Arachessen. She's someone who had a life before all this, someone who was known and someone who is loved. As we know, the Sight Mother is a bitch. And so there's two quotes, one earlier in this section where she says, "You have no brother." The Sight Mother reminded me, Sylina has no brother. And then later, when she meets the Sight Mother at the end of the stretch of chapters, she says, "Sylina does not have a brother. You know this." And it's so quiet. I feel like the way the Sight Mother speaks, I feel like she's soft spoken but stern. At least this is what I picture in my mind. But she's so unsettling in the way she says it because it's not a protection for Sylina, it's erasure. She's asking her to forget her past. And it's not like they're asking her to do that to grow. They're just asking her to forget and to disconnect from the one thing that still ties her to who she really is. And I think that's a theme we've seen in the other books, like with Araya and Rain and him telling her, don't forget like who you are. Keep that human side of you because keep that humanness about you. I feel like that's the Sight Mother here. She's like wanting her to disconnect from that one thing of who she really is. And
Well, and
then,
that's always like a huge red flag to me,
right?
anyway, when people or characters do not want you to associate. Remember, think about things from your
Right,
past, people from your past, or even
right,
just people outside of them and their circle.
right, right.
That's always concerning.
It screams cult to me,
Yes.
just a little bit
Yes.
controlling, maybe. But then on the other side, we have something completely different, right? So here are some passages I want to read. First, "I know we're different, vampires, humans, but there isn't one of us that doesn't know what this feels like." Um, and then we have, I should have said who all of these were from, but I just grouped them together because they're all so good. "We're used to saying goodbye to our own more than most vampires." So this is when they've got her brother. She had to knock him out because, as we know, he is addicted to the plethora seed, and that can destroy someone, whether they're like addicted or trying to get off of it, because it's such a strong kind of destructive
Yeah, and I think
substance,
he had
right?
been using it for so
Right.
long. He was totally dependent on it at that point.
And then two more. "Humans may believe that vampires don't understand what powerlessness feels like, but those that follow me do. We understand loss and we know that it is the worst kind of powerlessness." This is when she feels like she's losing her brother, right? To the
Mhm.
Plethora. She's lost him to he even calls him, what is it? The Thorn King or the King of Thorns. What do they call
The
him? And
Thorn
she's like,
King,
"Who
yeah.
are you?" And then
Right.
I love this by Atrius. "Your brother will be safe here for as long as he needs." And that's where really everything shifts, right? Because the Sight
Mhm.
Mother's like, "You don't have a brother." And then you have Atrius here. "Your brother will be safe here for as long as he needs." And these are vampires. They eat humans.
Small detail you might want to know.
Right. So everything shifts because the people she was raised to fear and the people that she sent out to kill, like Atrius, are the ones that are showing her compassion. They are understanding her grief. They understand loss and they don't try to take it away or pretend like it doesn't exist. They meet her there with it. And Sylina even says this, and yet here I was being presented with this gift, compassion. Huge, right? It's a gift, not something forced, not something demanded like the Sight Mother. It's just given to her. And even in the small moments, like Atrius, he kept some Pethora seed to, because from my understanding and what they say in the book, like you can't just like get off Pethora seed. Like once you're addicted to it, like it's a lifelong, you
Yeah, it
either
would have
take it or you die.
basically killed Nero to just cold turkey not have
Yes.
it.
Right. And so she went looking through the castle trying to find Pethora because she knew her brother is not going to survive without it. And she had to keep sedating him to kind of keep him from freaking out, basically. And while she's searching, Atrius comes behind her and he has a parcel. And in that moment, he says, give him only what he needs, he says, but parse it out. They're helping her care for her brother, not just take him away, not erase him. They're helping him and helping her. And I think that's what makes this section hit so hard because the people who claim to be shaping her into this something stronger and part of the Arachessen and your sister are asking her to let her go of what and not just what, but everything that makes her human, her name, her past. And the ones she was taught to see as monsters are the ones reminding her what it means to feel, to love, to lose. So it really makes you ask, like, what actually makes something a monster? Is it what you are, or is it how you're like treating people, right? Because
Totally.
at the end of the day, you've got one side, you have no brother, and the other side saying he'll be safe here. So I think my remedy in that is if something asks you to abandon love, connection, and who you've been, it's not making you stronger. It's making you easier to control. And so
Mm,
I think it's important on who we're surrounding ourselves with.
yes. Love that
That's a
observation.
lot.
No, it's so good and so important to think about. I think the first couple quotes you shared when it was the quotes from the vampires were from Ericus, and then the
Yes.
second couple were from Atrius. And I loved that Ericus also said some
Yeah.
things that were similar. Like he and Atrius, it tracked for both of them. And that tells me, okay, this is a quality that this group of vampires shares. And
Yes.
again, it makes sense when you know what they've been through that they would feel strongly about this.
Right.
And it hit me hard as well because it touched me that they would encourage her to take care of him. Because I don't know, I think Atrius does trust Sylina more at this point, but I don't know if he
Hmm.
totally trusts her. I mean, there's still
No,
some questions, I'm sure, surrounding
for
Sylina in their
sure.
minds, but not to the point where they're unwilling to help her. And I mean, this is
Right.
just like a human addict. It would be so easy for them to just use him as a vampire snack, but
Right.
their life experiences of losing people they love and feeling powerless to help them
Yeah.
make it where they would never even think to harm this guy. They are
Right.
going to help Sylina help him.
Yes.
And that's very different from some of the other vampires we've met in Crowns of Nyaxia.
Yes.
I'm sure Rain would do that. I'm sure Rhea would do that. But some
Right.
of the other vampires are, it's all about their self-interest and
For sure.
obtaining power.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was really, I loved this part as well. I loved watching the vampires come to Selena's aid and
Yes.
being willing to help Nero.
Right. And I think I like what you point out with it being Ericus too. And you're right. Those first two, I'm like, I know these aren't just Atrius, but Ericus and Atrius and just kind of the group mindset they have. And I agree. I don't think it's that he trusted Sylina completely. I think this is truly who they are to their core. Because sure, he would do that because he loved her, but I don't think they're there yet. So he's truly just
Mm-mm.
doing this because that is who he is. That's his
Yeah.
integrity and that's what he stands for. And so I think it sheds a lot on him too as a person, as a character, that it's not just out of love he's doing that. Because I think we see that in a lot of stories. They do it because they love their mate or whoever. But I think like that really is We see it a
kind of one
couple
of
times.
I was gonna say it's one of their group's like core principles
For
almost.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a guiding principle. That's something they would never even think to do is harm
Right.
someone's
Right.
family or sibling. And you see that, when they conquer these cities, they're not trying to hurt the people who live there. They're trying to keep them safe as much as possible and prevent civilian casualties. They try to like
Right.
assure them once they do take over that they are not there to capture them
Yeah.
or eat them or anything, that they're
Right.
actually coming to protect them.
Right.
And I think that's one reason that I have felt so drawn to Atrius in this reread is I am just really picking up on this part of him that
Yeah.
has these principles, right? Like you said, it's not out of just his feelings for
Right.
Sylina, but he feels strongly. These are things that are like his moral compass is
Right.
very clear.
Yes.
And I think that that's really cool. And I like
Yep.
that about Atrius and
I
this little
agree.
group of Bloodborne warriors. It's awesome.
For sure. For sure. I agree. And I think that that relationship between her and her brother is so complex. And I just it just stood out to me because I think it can be very, what's the word? Familiar for people at reading it. I think that we all have relationships in our life where we have people struggling with that. And I think it's just so cool to see the compassion that she was given dealing with it and that other people were compassionate towards the situation as well.
Yeah. Well said, Kenzie. Well said. Is very relatable. Families
Yeah,
can be messy,
relatable.
huh?
That's the word I was looking for.
There you go.
Relatable. Thank you, Whitney. You always fill the words where they need to be.
Listen, my words are not always wording, as we learned earlier in this episode. So that's why we have two people on this show, not just one of us, because it would be, can you imagine? By myself,
There's
I would
one and a
die.
half sometimes.
No. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for
But
sharing that
yes,
Romantasy Remedy. That was definitely a remedy for me too, a little piece of book therapy. I think the other piece of book therapy that came out of this stretch of chapters for
yeah,
me was just watching Sylina and Atrius develop their relationship further and their connection further. When she is trying to convince him to let her assassinate Tarkin instead of them going in as an army and just like taking
yeah,
over, she's trying to explain how great she is at killing, and he starts kind of being flirty in his responses.
he
And I think the
does.
reason it stood out to me is he has been so guarded up to this point. And to me, Atrius is a little different from your typical broody male main character who just is broody by personality. Like that's just who
Yeah,
they are. He, I feel like, is not so much broody as he is guarded. He is
yeah,
trying to observe people. He's trying to be intentional in how he chooses to interact with them. And so I feel like guarded is the best word. He's just been guarded around
I
her up until
agree.
this point.
Yeah,
And then he starts putting out these flirty comments. So back to the moment I was referencing, she's explaining how great she is at killing. And he goes, "To think I let such a dangerous creature sleep beside me every night." Because remember, she's been untangling the curse and they like kind of just pass out next to each other. And so I thought that was really cute and funny. And then Sylina is a little taken aback. In her mind, she's kind of like, whoa, what was that comment? Like, is he flirting with me? And
yes,
then Atrius closes out their convo with another kind of flirty comment. He goes, "Tell me, formidable assassin, how this plan of yours would work." And I'm like, girl, he's 100% flirting with you. Like, and I am here for it. Like, bring on flirty Atrius, please. Remember earlier in the book, Arachessen is having one of his awesome conversations with Sylina. That friendship is one of my other favorite things in this book, but that's
yes,
another item for another day. But Arachessen tells Sylina that she is totally Atrius's type because
right,
basically she's hot and clearly a huge mistake. So we remember this
right.
conversation. Well, when I was looking at Atrius's comments here, I'm like, well, Arachessen wasn't wrong. Things are heating up between Atrius and Sylina, and he totally called it. But I was just giggling and getting all excited about Sylina and Atrius. Sylina pretends, of course, to be a concubine to get
Right,
into the Thorn Palace to
right,
assassinate Tarkin. And She goes in, and it takes a minute for her to, like, get in, convince the guards to let her in, and once she's in and has disposed of the guard that was with her, she goes
Right.
and just, like, lets Atrius in through this window. Apparently,
Right.
he just kinda climbed up the side of the palace like Spider-Man and was just
Yes.
hanging out there, which she admits is pretty impressive that he just had the upper body strength to
Just
cling
hang
to the side
out.
of a building for a while. And so then the two of them kinda start making their way to Tarkin so they can kill him. But they have to, at one point, hide in this alcove to dodge some guards that unexpectedly show up. So
Right.
they're hiding, they're basically standing, like, nose to nose, very much in each other's personal space. And remember that Sylina is wearing a veil because that's how Tarkin likes his concubines. Barf, I hate
Yeah, I
Tarkin.
know, I'm like, "Ugh."
But as they're in the alcove face to face, she has this veil on. Here's what's written in the book. Atrius
Yes.
stared at me, brows low over his silver and gold eyes. Then his fingertip rose and flicked the edge of the veil, making the silken fabric ripple. And he mouthed, I hate this thing. Beneath the silk, my lips thinned, then, despite myself, curled into a smile. I could have sworn that maybe the twitch of Atrius's lips was almost a smile, too. I love that part. Like, just that little detail. They are, like, mid-mission, and you would think that Atrius would be super serious this whole time,
Right.
but he, like, cannot resist, like, just, like, on the give her a
Love
little
Yes.
flick on the veil.
I love the like, all these, like, flirtatious moments you pull out because I feel like they're so subtle. They pack such a punch because they're just so well timed, right? And
Yes.
they're not in your face, so they're I don't know. I love him. He's a great flirter.
Well,
Love it.
and to that point, his words are that he hates this thing, like, he hates the veil, but what he's really saying is, like, "I miss seeing your face, like, I miss seeing your
Yes.
beautiful face."
Yes.
And I love that part. It's one of my favorites. So
So
the
good.
flirting continues, and then everything with killing Tarkin and reuniting with Nero goes
Yep.
down. Atrius, of course, encourages Sylina to help him, but then he also comes and tells her, like, let's take a break. Like, you're not going to help anything by sitting here staring at him.
Right.
And she goes with Atrius to his room, and they have a very tender conversation about their past. Sylina kind of talks about growing up in Versailles, and then Atrius shares a lot actually about his people, how they're not welcome in the House of Blood. He doesn't quite share the whole story at this moment, but more than Sylina was aware of up until now.
Right.
And so then Sylina says this. She tells Atrius, the past is devouring you. Oh, and she's, like, detangling his curse, I think, right now, too. But she goes, the
Yes.
past is devouring you. He let out an almost laugh. So bold of you to talk to me that way. Rough, scarred fingertips touched my face. The contrast between his skin and the touch so stark it made my heart stutter. His gaze lowered, lingering on my mouth. Do you think I don't see, he said, voice low, that the past is devouring you too? I knew that a wounded soul craved another to mirror theirs. That was all this was, but my soul was hurting too, and perhaps I too craved someone who understood that. So, this is
So
getting
good.
good. And then they kiss. So this is their first kiss. And it is a great kiss because Selena's like, he was alive and broken and familiar and mysterious and dangerous and safe. And for one terrible moment, I wanted so fiercely I forgot everything else. So Atrius is such a good kisser that she literally forgot that she was like an Arachessen who's supposed to assassinate him. All she could think
Right.
about was how great of a kisser he is and how awesome this moment was. Well done, Atrius. Well done.
Just gives us another reason that good.
I know,
of a
like, if we
kisser.
needed more reasons to love him, but I did just love kind of watching their tension break for a moment here, watching them,
Yes.
like, have this kiss and seeing this connection grow and deepen over the stretch of chapters. It was fun to see Atrius, like, let his guard down and be flirty.
For sure. I love that.
This read has really brought me into the Atrius camp. Like, I'm here for it. I see it now.
Makes
I
me
see it.
so happy because when we had our book boyfriend chat, I kept talking. I don't know why I've been hung up on Atrius. And yeah, even more so now. There was
Yes.
a moment in these chapters, and even in chapters 1 through 17, I think when they were in the tunnels he kept asking Sylina like how many, and then in this stretch of chapters he did like that how many, and then like kind of like
Yes.
wink like her, and like I love that they have that. It kind of reminds me of like the there she is.
Yes.
He's like, so how many? Like I love that.
And she'll be like, many, and he always goes, too many? And she'll be like, no.
Yes. No. Yeah. I love
It
that
does.
little
It
thing they have
becomes
too.
their little inside joke, their catchphrase,
Yes.
and it's a good one. I really
It
like
is a
that
good
one.
one.
Too many?
Well,
No, we got
yes.
this.
I love that you pulled all of those. How fun. And it's what we love to see in Romantasy, right?
Yes. Yep.
So thank you,
Absolutely.
Whitney.
Atrius wooed me, I guess, a little bit in these
I'm
chapters.
so happy.
I was wooed.
I'm glad because you weren't on the Atrius bus before, so you're here now, and I'm
No,
so
I mean, I
happy.
wasn't like anti-Atrius, but
No,
but I get
seeing
it
your
now. I
top
see it.
5 today, I mean, it depends on
Today
what you're
he is.
reading.
Yes, the book slut theory continues to prove true. I'm reading Atrius, so of course I love Atrius.
I love it. Well, are there any characters you would like to express gratitude to? I think
Maybe
Arachessen.
Arachessen. Yay!
Yes!
We're on the same page. Look at us. Why do you want to express gratitude to Arachessen? Tell me.
His comedic timing is always on point, and he has been such a steadfast friend and just a good person for Sylina to lean onto a little bit. And it's not like she does a lot of leaning, but I think that he has showed that they are trustworthy, and I love his ribbing of her with Atrius, but also I think back to when she was caring for her brother, and he talked about like, I know you and I are different, but I know what you're feeling right now, and just to give her that is huge as well. So he deserves it for being compassionate, and he deserves it for being so funny, and I think he's like the perfect side character. Love him.
So funny. I love when, I think it's in this stretch, when she first goes to work on the curse situation,
Yes,
and
I know exactly what you're
she
talking
doesn't
about.
come back to her room.
Yes.
And Arachessen is teasing her about it the next not morning. Yeah, well, whatever he sees her again, he's teasing her about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I know you're supposed to be in charge of like my comings and goings, but it's not that kind of coming. And he's like, oh, so there was coming. And I'm like, dude, well
Yes.
done.
I think he's like, I didn't know the Arachessen could be so lecherous or something like that.
Yes, that part's really funny too. And then there's one where Selena's like, what? Because I'm religious, I can't curse or something. And they just have the really funny, friendly banter.
They do. It's great.
And when he calls her sister, it makes me laugh too. He'll be like, okay, sister, like she's a nun or something.
Yes, he's great. He's so funny. Yep. Love Arachessen.
So good.
Thanks to Arachessen this week.
Yes.
We'll probably have a couple more for him. He's just too good.
Yes, yep. We'll be talking more about Arachessen, I'm sure. Well, with that, we have reached the end of the main portion of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Look for Romantasy Remedy on Instagram and TikTok. Check the show notes for those links, as well as links to the printable affirmation and soundtrack playlist on Spotify. This is a good playlist, guys. You need to go listen because there's a few songs on here I'm excited about. So when I was thinking about the Atrius's army going and conquering and taking over all these places.
Yeah.
I put a Breaking Benjamin song on here called I
Always
Will Not
good.
Bow. Oh, it's a little
That's
throwback
a good
again.
throwback. Yeah.
And then a band that I love called Churches. Have you ever heard of this band?
I feel like I have, but I'm not super familiar.
They're great. I love them. Actually saw them once in Austin with my friend Ashley. Thanks, Ashley, for introducing me to Churches. There's a song called Graves that is all about basically trying to get corrupt people who are in power to not be in power. And I was like, well, this has Sylina written all over it. And okay, well, I'm just going to name like 5 different songs. There's a song from Dashboard Confessional called We Fight. And I was like, this is Atrius and Sylina like fighting back to back through the Thorn Palace. And then there is a song from Sleep Token, so we have to mention it, called Past Self.
Okay.
And there's a lyric that talks about, are you going to dance on the line with me? And I feel like, like I was just saying, this is where we're dancing on the line of like flirting and becoming a thing between Atrius and Sylina. Sorry that I just named every song on the playlist, but I was
No,
excited about all those songs.
they're all
So
great.
enjoy.
It's a good playlist. Enjoy
I
it,
know,
enjoy it. It's
right?
so fun.
Right?
Awesome. We're really looking forward to connecting with you and nerding out over all the best romantasy. And after this, we're going to begin our spoiler central segment of the episode, which you should not listen to if you have not finished the entire series, including the rest of this book. So this is your warning.
Yep. Big warning. Don't listen. Turn it off if you have not finished The Crowns of Nyaxia or this book. Okay. All right. Well, during this stretch of chapters, there's a part where Atrius says 4 Obitrean words to Sylina. He doesn't explain what they are or translate them. And Selina's like, okay, cool. But later in their big spicy scene at the beach,
Yes.
we find out that those 4 words were, "You make me ravenous." So
Okay, it makes me love
fun,
him that much more that he said it in that and then then tells her because
right?
it's like, ooh, Atrius.
So he's been ravenous since like chapter whatever that happened in. I didn't write it down, sorry.
20
But
something.
been ravenous for a long time. So
Mhm.
all
Love.
right. The feeling is mutual, Atrius. Okay. Then, as we were just saying a moment ago, when they have their conversation about their past, Atrius kind of talks about how his people are not welcome in the House of Blood, which is, for me, was a throwback to the conversation that Septimus and Araya have in Ashes and the Star-Cursed King when they have that conversation by the fireplace. And
Right.
he tells her all about what happened with his older brother. So it's actually in chapter 34 of Ashes. Seppi says this: "The Bloodborne Prince was ready to take up his mantle as the god-chosen hero of the House of Blood. So he gathered his best general and his
Mhm.
best men, and he went off on his mission to find Nyaxia, prove his people's loyalty, and earn back her love for the House of Blood." That was Atrius. The best general was our boy
Yep.
Atrius. So fun to note that. We're going to talk more
Right.
about this again as
Yes.
Atrius continues to share more with
Right.
Sylina. We will talk more about it, but
Yep.
there you go.
And this is
Little tie-in.
also what she sees in last week's episode when she is thread walking and she actually enters one of his memories. This is what she was seeing, right?
Yes, that's a
Yep.
great
Mhm.
connection. Thank you.
Yep.
It is what
Mhm.
she's seeing. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think even at this point, she's still not entirely clear on the situation from
Right.
her thread walk, but she's starting to get a little more from Atrius about what went down there. So,
Right.
yes, yes, yes. Okay.
There's a lot there.
Then I know there is a lot there, a lot to unpack, which we will do in future episodes. The last item in Spoiler Central that I wanted to mention today, when they are going to Versailles, there are 2 times when Sylina says that places have souls. First, she says it about Versailles, and then she says it about the Thorn Palace. Now, when she says it, she does not mean it in a positive way. She's basically talking about how those places are like sucking the souls out of people
Yes.
and destroying them. But that concept of places having souls, I could not help but think of Morthrin. Immediately thought of Morthrin.
100%. I'm right there
And
with you.
yes, and when I was thinking about it, so I went back to my Kindle and pulled up Songbird and Fallen, and I was kind of looking at a couple things. There's one part of Fallen that I felt like illustrated this, and it's when Misha's dragging Asar like to the magical bathtub that
Yes.
heals you. And when she gets him there, Morthrin had already basically prepared the tub so that
Right.
Asar could immediately get the healing he needed. And Misha says, "A powerful wave of love overtook me. Morthrin, bless her. I managed one hand free to caress the doorframe. Thank you, old girl," I murmured, and I was certain Morthrin creaked in response. So I feel like Morthrin for sure has a soul, and it's a good soul in this instance.
Yes. Yes.
The
For
best.
sure.
It kind of, I also couldn't help but think of the Illyrian cabin in A Court of Mist and Fury.
You would.
So I guess slight spoiler for A Court of Mist and Fury, but like the bathtub filling itself made me think specifically of that. And I was like, man, that place has a soul. And if those walls could talk, there would be many, many things.
I feel like you will always tie it back to the Court of Mist and Fury, specifically the Illyrian cabin.
I was actually thinking, Kenzie, that for my birthday, you know what I would like to do is record an episode about A Court of Mist and Fury. Like, I would like to have a birthday episode about that.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean, no harsh deadlines, but I was like, that would be cool to do. We could do the same for your birthday. You can pick like whatever book you want, and we'll just do an episode.
I gotta start thinking.
But yeah, everything comes back to Akamath. It's fine. But that's all I have for Spoiler Central today. Do you have any other thoughts, any other connections to the Nyaxia series?
No, not yet. Well, not that I want to talk about yet.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. We gotta save things for future Spoiler Central segments. All right. Well, in that case, let me just say thank you for joining me for this book chat.
Always.
And thank you to everybody who listened. And please come back for our next episode as we keep reading Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I'm sure that Atrius and Sylina are going to keep flirting. It's going to get good. So
it's going to get better and better every episode.
Come along for the ride.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.